Welcome to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by Haven, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Haven Hubcast. I am your co-host, Nancy Sheed, and I am really excited to be here with Joan Jia, who is the co-founder and CEO of Rentry, which is a multi-family real estate. Am I getting that right, Joan? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy, and happy to be here.
So, Joe, we're going to talk about sort of more about your business in a second, but as we were talking about before, not everybody sort of starts out their career with when I grow up, I want to be a real estate entrepreneur, right? Like, do you mind sharing with our listeners sort of your journey into where you are now?
Oh, it's a long journey, but I worked through my career in the financial industry for a long time. 20 plus years, but I always want to fulfill my dream as an entrepreneur. I was not able to do it when I was making the money and need to raise the two kids at home. When my kids entering the college, that gave me the opportunity to retire from the corporate world so that I can dedicate my next career in the entrepreneur environment. So in the bank, I ran global organization with multi-million dollars budget. In the entrepreneur world, I am a CEO, but I'm also an accountant. I'm a salesperson.
Marketer.
I am a tester. So I need to be able to make the big decisions, have the vision, but as well as complete the daily task at the same time, which is a very, very different, but a very rewarding process.
I love your summary of entrepreneurship. That's amazing. And Joan, you mentioned that you were in the financial world of financial markets. Were you particularly in the real estate part of that? Was real estate part of the financial that you were looking at in your corporate gig?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, it was not.
Oh,
I was in the
interesting.
financial industry in the investment banking side.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I am also a real estate investor for over 15 years. So I invested in real estate for a long time from my own perspective. When I actually want to do the entrepreneurship, of course, after 20-some years of financial industry, I don't want to do the same thing. I want something different. And real estate is something very close to my heart. I love real estate. I don't know why, but I just love real estate. And I guess I'm being lucky, actually being a good investor for the past 15, years or so. But it's throughout that process, I'm also very frustrated by the very cumbersome and inefficient process of buying and selling multifamily homes. Well, I should say small multifamily home, which I'll give you a definition a little bit later. So we really wanted to, or from my perspective and also my partners, we want every consumer to have an alternative to build the financial wealth and independence in the real estate market. And to have accessibility to the information, the data, which is only available to the professionals in the real estate industry. I just don't think that is right. And that should be everybody, including yourself, myself, should have access to that same information so that we can compete and we can build that wealth as any of the professionals or the companies, the big companies out there. So we want to come in, digitize our experience and knowledge, and so that every consumer will have access to this in their fingertips.
I love that you were solving a problem in an industry that you love, and that you've got such a clear mission. before we kind of look forward with Rentry and what it's doing and talking about multi-level, what was your personal story about getting into having real estate and real estate investments? Was that something that you learned from your family? Was that something that, you just had a curiosity in? Or to your point, you were in the financial world and investment banking and you kind of wanted to, I don't know, diversify either your interest or your portfolio, right? Like some people run for the hills, and feel it's highly speculative, right? And other people run straight to the property markets and say, wait, passive income. So I'm curious sort of what your mind think was going into it.
Absolutely. It's the last part because I am in the investment banking. I am dealing with we call it asset classes that's very highly volatile. And we got a stock, we got a fixed income. There is this passive income, other than the fixed income itself. The passive income, which is real estate, to me is very important to have to actually balance out my portfolio. So I started off many, many years ago, like I said, over 15 years ago. Actually, I started the investment in overseas market. And that time, the overseas market, and not to name particular market, was actually very high growth environment and be able to actually generate very good passive income. I was not really thinking about the return of the investment itself, but more thinking about passive income. That's how I get in. And then as time goes on, I moved into the United States. I'm one of the lucky one that invested a lot of real estate after the 2008 financial crisis. Again, when the people are not investing, and that's where I have a very confidence about the real estate, just like, a lot of the other stock markets, the same thing. It has a downturn, but it also have upturn. When it's actually at the low point, the market, is going to come back. And with the passive income as well as actually appreciation all coming at the same time.
Wow. So that brings us sort of full circle. You've been doing it for 15 years. You're seeing all the frustrations. You're seeing ways to make it better. And it sounds like you also evolved into specializing into this multifamily, kind of real estate investing. For those of us who sort of walk in a binary world of there's commercial and there's residential, where does multifamily fit into that? And why do you like that market so much?
Small multifamily home is what we call it. Small multifamily, we specialize in small multifamily marketplace. It is including the both residential and the commercial real estate. Okay. That is a unique part of this particular market. So if it's multifamily home between 2 to 6, technically sometimes it goes to 10, these are all resides in residential real estate market. Once it's beyond or above 6 or 10, it's actually belong to commercial real estate. So because of that, it is so fragmented. So you will actually find part of it in the commercial market, part of it in actually residential. And a lot of time, to be honest, commercial real estate world, they do not really like to look at the small multifamily home because it's too much work, too small a return. That's why it's a very niche market, but it's a gap in the industry.
And so I'm just having this vision of you being the Venn diagram, right? Like Rentry is the Venn diagram and that sweet spot, right? Where that multifamily sits between commercial and residential. And so how are you, it sounds like there's opportunity in that fragmentation if you have the patience. How are you making things easier and more accessible for somebody who hasn't been in this marketplace for 15 years and doesn't have your expertise?
That's exactly what do. We put our experience and our knowledge, digitalize it into the Rentry's platform. So when you come to the Rentry platform, you will be able to search for not just basically, if you go to Zillow or Redfin, you're going to search by a location, by what's the house type, and so on, single family, multifamily, and etc. When you come to our marketplace, you will search by returns. What is your cap rate? Ooh. What's your cash on cash return? What's your ROI return? We gave all of those to you right there on the spot. So what we call it, usually an investor will take 90 days to search for a property. Within 15 minutes and a few clicks, you will be able to find the property with the right place and right return. The second part is we will help you. Let's say that you have an off-market property. A lot of the multifamily homes are off-market, not necessarily they are on the market. You give us the address, we will tell you an independent assessment value of that property. So you will going in that really understand what is a potential return. That's including, very important, including rental return. What is passive income you would have? What is a potential actually cap rate? And what we think the valuation would be for this particular property.
I love it. I love it. So in terms of your ideal users are the investors, but also the sellers of property, right? Like you're creating a platform for them. You're making their life a lot easier, as well as, they don't have to do maybe as much explaining, or you're getting visibility for their potential properties. Where do brokers fit into this, right? Like I'm drawing my own conclusions and seeing you as a much more sophisticated version with completely different parameters than Trulia and Zillow, right? But where do brokers fit into this? Or they don't?
Yeah.
Do they love your model? Do they hate your model? And I'm just asking some sticky questions, but curious.
Absolutely. That's a good question, Nancy. The real estate brokers and the sales, they already have exposure to our tools or our pre-MVP. And basically, this is a tool to help them so that they can help their clients.
Awesome.
One of the things that we found throughout the journey is real estate brokers and sales people, they don't even have the tool and access to the data to help their own client. And me as an investor or as a potential client, I would say 100% of the time, I'm doing my own homework. I have to actually educate my broker. And in the end, what are my brokers doing? They're basically just going in there to make a phone call for me.
Right.
No. Now we're giving them a tool in front of themselves so that they can talk with their clients and help their clients to actually understand the valuation of the property and help them to go through the transaction process.
Nice. And often, I'm not going to say all the time, but a lot of real estate brokers are also property investors and managers themselves, right? So
Exactly.
I suspect there's also, again, crossover between some of your users having different roles, when they come to you as well.
Yeah.
Joan, do you specialize? I know you mentioned earlier, like people search on a certain place. And you mentioned earlier, you used to be in overseas markets. Now you're in the US. Does Rentry have a geographic starting point? What does that look like for you in kind of startup mode or as you're getting started mode?
So Rentry right now, we only looking at the New York area. We do have some Connecticut as well. So I would say tri-state area because this is where we located. We know the market very well. But our intention is always to cover the entire United States. I don't know whether we're ever going to the other countries at this stage because every real estate market is very complex. There are several key factors that we need to actually consider when we go to overseas market. That's something that we're probably going to consider that down the road, but definitely is the United States.
Well, every state is different. I mean, just being able to sort of go in state by state, has its own challenges, and everything else. So that's 50 plus steps right there if in terms of covering the US.
Absolutely, Nancy. Yeah, and actually, just on that note, I'm sorry. On that note, we're trying to actually get into Texas market. Texas is a non-disclosure state. We have artificial intelligence model that we use to forecast our AVM and so on. One of the key things is a historical sales price. And you go to Texas market, as what you're saying, it's non-disclosure state. I do not have the historical sales price. So again, to your point, every state is different, and we have to actually change our model accordingly too.
Interesting. So thank you so much for this education for those of us who are not so immersed in the real estate market. But and Joan, you just mentioned, kind of as you're looking out, you're looking forward, you're forecasting, you're looking at stuff. For those of us, what is the state of the real estate market? Obviously, you're a fan of the multi-level opportunities, but what are you seeing in terms of, are we sitting on a precipice, or are we, we've talked about passive income. Sort of what's your overview looking forward in terms of where we are and where real estate is sitting or going, or how we should think about real estate?
Real estate is changing. It's changing very fast. Right now, we are sitting in an environment with low inventory, rising mortgage rate just went double, right?
Mm.
And then no significant impact from new construction. The new construction is not building fast enough.
Mm-mm.
So the demand for the buyer is still outstrip the supply in big time. However, we are expecting the foreclosures to rise in the upcoming month and year. I think we're already seeing the foreclosure numbers is going, rising in the past couple months already.
Mm.
However, when it's come to multifamily, the multifamily occupancy level has been reached to above 95% nationwide in the past year, 2 years now. And we continue to see that occupancy rate in that high level. And we are not going to see it changing in the upcoming year.
Mm.
And another part, which you probably know, or a lot of the listener probably know, the rent rose 14.8% nationwide on year-over-year basis. With some of the area, especially like Florida, Texas, it rose 30 to 50%. It's huge on the rental, I would say, price perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that is a very strong demand on the rent or rental properties as well, because, folks are having a hard time to purchasing or be able to buy their home. So from all those areas, I would strongly suggest that anybody who are interested in the real estate, take a look into the multifamily home to invest or simply a starting point for your home ownership. Because small multifamily, especially, they are not that expensive. They're, relatively affordable. And then, when it's come to small multifamily home, let's say it's duplex, fourplex, and so on, you can start with that. You can live on one side and the rent on the others. So make it much more affordable. You have the yard and the space to work from home. A lot of folks are working from home now, and it's very easy to manage. And a high growth area like the Sun Belt, we call it, southern states, so Texas, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, South Carolina, I see that continued exposure to continue growth in those areas with a very strong demand and rental and also occupancy rate for the upcoming years.
So you're not, I love your optimism. You're not seeing this just as a spike post-COVID. You're seeing this kind of being, it may have been a spike, but it's going to continue. It's not a blip.
It will flat. It will go down. But I think that especially from an investment perspective and especially from home ownership, if you can stay there for the next 10 years or 20 years, it will be fine. You will be fine, especially you have the passive income coming in.
Nice. Joan, this has been fascinating. I could sit and do this for another half an hour, but I want to get to the thing that brings us together, which is Haven. And so I learned about you because of the Haven launch and the Haven Hatch program. So would you mind sharing with the listeners a little bit about your experience with the Haven launch program, or maybe even how you discovered the launch program, but sort of what that has meant to you and to Rentry?
Yeah, I applied the Haven launch program through the Westchester the county entrepreneur program over here. So I applied. I was fortunately be able to accept it into the program.
Yay!
I have to say, I love it. I learned so much from everybody, not only the folks who is teaching the program or coordinating the program, but also from the entrepreneurs who attend the program together. I learned so much, and it helped me in terms of Rentry, to help me in terms of how do I approach the investor, how do I do the fundraising, how do I pitch to the investor. That was a focus on the Haven launch program. But on top of that, I was able to network with a lot of entrepreneurs, but also network with a lot of different folks like yourself we met through because of the Haven program, but many other folks out there. Not only that, is Haven focused on woman entrepreneur. So to be able to meet with so many women entrepreneur, that to me is a very, very valuable and rewarding. Because I think you probably yourself, that entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. You're always by yourself. You're trying to battle everything that you have, which we mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
It's so great to meet so many similar-minded people, and in this case, a lot of women who is going through the journey as just a different actually phase and different program, to be able to just even chat about it. And then you know that you're not alone. You have so many people that are going through the same path as you are. To me, that is absolutely fantastic to be able to have the opportunity to do that.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm going to give you a little plug. So you ended the launch program by actually doing Haven Hatch, right? And we're one of the Haven Hatch winners. So we have to give a wow, yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Joan, thank you again so much for your time and sort of enlightening us on what's going on from your vantage point in the real estate market. If people would like to reach out to you or learn more about Rentry, what's the best way to connect with you?
Come to rentryinc.com. You can also send me emails at info@rentryinc.com or reach out to me directly, joan@rentryinc.com. I'm happy to share any of the questions or information that you'd like me to share.
Awesome. We will put that in the show notes. And I just want to say it's Rentry, RENTRY.com, right?
No, so it's Rentry Inc., unfortunately.
I'm glad we cleared about it. Rentry Inc., RENTRYINC.com.
That's
right.
Correct.
And we will put it in the show notes. Joan, thanks again for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Nancy. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Haven is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. Haven is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the Haven community online at haven.com. That's HAYVN.com. Haven Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.